Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald, here to tell you to go support Going In Raw and Friendo Club at patreon.com/Steven Larson. They got bonus episodes, ad-free audio, a weekly newsletter rounding up the weekend wrestling news, and a bunch more. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Go support or get hit with a stunner.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Hopefully everybody out there had a wonderful Easter time. And we're going to talk about the shows that we didn't watch on this past Friday night because we had the new schedule kick in, and I'll be honest with you, SmackDown kind of justified that new schedule, Larson.
Ooh, yes.
Because not a lot happened, but we're going to talk about it anyways, and we're going to talk about AEW's Rampage, and of course we're going to talk about kind of, I guess, a bit of a surprising event at Battle of the Belts. We're going to I love that face you're making right now. If the audio audience, or since the audio audience can't see what the face you're making right now is made, it's like somebody, it's like you're a victim of Rikishi's corner ass thing.
Stink face.
The stink face. He gave a stink face look.
Yeah, that's what I thought of the result of that TNT title match. Yeah.
Right. We're going to talk about that, of course. And we're also going to talk about the rumors of the huge announcement and the implications of that in just a moment. But first, let's talk about this, man. It's kind of interesting. You know, we've often wondered how the game, the King of Kings, the
Cerebral Assassin,
thank you, Triple H, felt about the rebrand of his beloved NXT that the rebrand went through about a half a year ago. The black and yellow brand all of a sudden became this sort of Jackson Pollock-esque mishmash of colors brand. And shortly after he experienced, this all happened right around the same time of that cardiac event he had. Of course, he's been on the recovery since then. The King of Kings seemingly hasn't had much of an opportunity to speak on the topic because of that. Only recently has he come back into the public eye. So it's kind of interesting to hear his thoughts on why the NXT rebrand was necessary. He spoke to The Athletic, where he opened up about the rebrand and the change in philosophy WWE has had in approaching new talent, among other things. First up, there's this interesting quote about WWE perhaps passing on certain wrestlers who then go elsewhere, make it big, and what he feels about that. He says, are there going to be some we miss where they say they'll stay in the business and go find somebody else to train them? Yeah, good for them. Probably sooner or later, we're going to see them and realize we were wrong and we should hire them. And at some point, they're going to want to be part of the biggest promotion in the world and come back here. And I appreciate that, end quote. I appreciate, number one, that he understands a big draw for WWE still is, hey, biggest production, biggest stage, been around the longest, a lot of childhood dreams exist here in the WWE. That's something we can offer. Plus, probably more money than anybody else.
Probably more money than the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. He talked the rebrand. So we had to say about that, quote, there was this point where it was on the WWE network, had this cult following. You need to get on television. How do we do that? We need more experience. Need to professionalize this a little bit to make the product to where fans want to see it. We got them to that place. The pandemic messed it up a little bit because it was right when we went on TV. And we had to shift our focus, doing it in front of no people, completely altered what we were doing. We couldn't recruit or train talent for almost 2 years, but the show stayed. Then we said, okay, let's reboot it and go back to what we originally were. Some of these people won't be ready for television. We're going to put them on television. We believe the audience is invested enough. The numbers might come down, but a core group of them will stay. And now they're creating fresh stars all the time. That's where we are now. The numbers have stabilized. And it's pretty consistent, like 0.12 to 0.14 on the demo every week. 600,000.
Yeah. They're
pretty
usually
consistent.
600,000 is usually like the number that that you'll see with them. He continues on. He says, people like Braun Breaker, he's been training for a year. Half the women, they've been here a year maybe. He says, that's a lot. That's just so fresh and new. People used to say the constant churn of NXT was a negative. He said, the churn is what's great about it. The people here now, hopefully a year and a half from now, none of them are even in NXT anymore, and the ones that make it will be on to Raw and SmackDown. That's the magic. It truly is the developmental league, the college football, AAA baseball. Yeah, they're not all quite ready to be in that major league role yet, but you're discovering them before they become household names. He says, we were talking about this shift anyways, referring to the rebrand prior to his cardiac event thing. He says, we were talking about this shift anyway. That's where we were headed. It happened at a period of time where I had to leave for a bit. Luckily, Shawn Michaels had been doing it with me all that time, so it was a seamless thing. I stepped out, did what I needed to do, but that team has killed it. They've really created a show where you can really say that's the next generation of stars. So he talks about former NXT guys in AEW here. We'll talk about that in a second. But, it got me thinking because we've often talked about whether it's call-ups that had been, botched in our eyes. Yeah. Some objectively botched, some a bit more subjective. And how he would feel about that. He's, spent all this time building up guys and women to get to main roster, and then, to see his sort of collaborative creations with these wrestlers end up not being used as prominently as they were in NXT, or as obviously he had hoped that would be the case. This is a little bit different. It's sort of taking a philosophy WWE had with signing up wrestlers from the independent ranks and featuring them to be the next generation of stars. Sometimes they're a little bit older. Now we're looking at a shift in philosophy because as Regal said on the Talk is Jericho podcast, and I wonder if this was just the general consensus at the time, AEW happened. And AEW took a lot of what was working in NXT and made a main roster product out of that. So WWE shifted philosophy. I wonder, because it's easy to say, oh man, black and yellow, that was Triple H's thing. His heart was behind it, and then they just changed it on him, and he had this health thing. Yeah. And I wonder if it's more like the view I was looking at it through after reading this. And of course, he's going to be diplomatic on all this stuff.
Oh yeah, he always is diplomatic about this type of stuff.
But when you and I have done stuff on the channel, we've been through plenty of programming that you and I are really into. And if we see, hey, this isn't working, this is something that maybe we should just drop and then try a different philosophy. And I wonder if that's the tact he takes with something like this, as opposed to, wrestlers who he's building up and then he sees what Vince does with them. Might be a little bit different. Hey, I was really into the black and yellow, but my job is developmental. And this company that I identify myself as part of the DNA of the company needs a change because this isn't really the thing. There's another company out there doing this. We need to alter course. And I wonder if he's a bit more philosophical in that way about it. It seems that's the case here.
Potentially, but at the same time, as you mentioned, he is fairly diplomatic about all matters pertaining to WWE and his role in it. So it's I don't know. I mean, it could be it could be more than just one thing. It could be more than just, we speculated that Vince just from one sense wasn't liking the talent he was getting from NXT, or didn't like the approach that was being taken with it. Whereas NXT does this thing, they come to the main roster. Well, like he feels like he has to reinvent a lot of these wrestlers to fit into what he wants them to do on the main roster. Well, he streamlined that process, and in theory, you repackage them upon their debut in NXT, and then again, in theory, that character will persist up into the main roster. And that wasn't the case in black and gold NXT. And we'd speculated that Vince wasn't happy with some of the people coming up. So let's just bring in people that are young athletes that we could train, build from the ground up in WWE Superstars to fit the mold of what we want now.
Yeah.
But it could just be a variety of things. The financial aspect. I don't know if NXT was losing money. Obviously now with bringing in developmental people, you're not paying a bunch of massive indie stars large contracts relative to NXT.
We had always heard that. There was
a money losing proposition NXT was. So from a financial perspective, you're not going on the road really anymore. That saves you money. You're shooting all in one place that you own. That saves you money. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm guessing like a lot of decisions, it wasn't just one thing. It's probably a variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
And if one of them was AEW is kind of corner of the market on PWG / Ring of Honor style wrestling, and doing really well with it, well, let's pivot also because of these reasons,
Yeah. I just wonder how he feels about this stuff personally. And he's never going to go into that because it's not his thing.
Yeah. No, but, he's shown historically that you hear stories about him like consoling former NXT talents backstage who might be upset about their situation on main roster. But yeah, I'd be hard pressed to think that he's going to tell a whole first person account of, the heartbreak of NXT call-ups not being used as he would hoped.
Yeah. He talked about former NXT guys joining AEW. Of course, there's a lot of them. And he said this. He says, I like all those guys. They helped us get where we needed to get, and I'm thankful for it. The truth is there was a period of time when we were trying to build NXT. We built NXT. Then we were trying to build a brand that we can get on a television show and sustain it. All those names helped us get there. Whether anybody believed or not they fit on Raw or SmackDown, those aren't necessarily my decisions solely. They're Vince McMahon's decisions and fans' decisions. And come on, Triple H, come on. You don't throw us under the bus.
No, it's Vince's decision.
He said, and then can we continue to do business with them? If they have great gigs, I'm happy for them. I stay in touch with almost all of them. I like to think they came into us here. We taught them a lot, got them to a higher level where they learned how to do TV, had to be professionals, and all that to be successful there. At some point, they might come back with us, or they might never because they don't fit our brand as well, but that's okay. They got us to certain places, and I'm thankful for that, and they're thankful for that, and they're off to different things. But that doesn't stop the train. People leave football teams, move on to different teams all the time, and that's great.
More about AEW, seeing them as competition. He says, quote, as far as competition aspect goes, it's great. It makes everybody sharper. You get lazy if you're all there is and everybody goes about their business at the end of the day.
The end of the day.
It'll make us better, and we'll all be better for it. All those things have forced us to be in a better place right now. Not that we wouldn't have gotten there anyway, but we had to do it quicker in some manner. That's an important piece of it, right?
Right.
He added, as long as there aren't things hurting the business overall, I think any of that stuff is good. If you're a 6-year-old kid, you turn on the TV, wrestling is on, and you like it. Now you're caught up in it. Then you start sampling all of it. You get to where you're a huge fan. That's the money. There's room for everybody to do it. It's like saying the USFL or XFL is starting up. The NFL is panicking about market share. It's just going to increase people's love for football.
Wow.
You love football that much, you watch all the football. And it's great, but the NFL is not sweating it. The difference there is there's such a massive disparity between the quality of NFL football and any other football league. The disparity in quality of the game is vast.
Mm-hmm.
Vast.
Yeah.
Whereas again, it's a subjective thing. I understand.
Yeah.
The quality of the in-ring product in WWE and AEW, it's not that large. It's basically just different approaches.
Yeah, that's such a great dig, though.
It is.
Call
it is. I know.
AEW, the USFL or XFL.
I know.
Oh man, I kind of feel like even as big as WWE is financially compared to AEW, even that comparison isn't apt. Like the NFL is worth like what? How many billions?
Tens of billions of dollars.
Probably tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Versus the XFL, which.
How much did The Rock buy it for? Not much.
Yeah, I don't know. How much we have in our bank account? Probably.
I know.
Not far.
Yeah,
off.
no. I'm sure that's one of those things where it's like I'll make this analogy, and hey, maybe I'll throw a little shade, but
oh yeah, that's all.
It's all in good. I think it's all in good fun.
I mean, that's a little more subtle than calling just straight up a pissant company.
Oh, I know.
Speaking of pissant companies, let's talk about AEW and New Japan, because apparently. We might be getting a super show, man. What's going on here, Larson?
Yeah. So as announced, I believe on this past week's Dynamite, that Tony Khan has another, wait for it, huge announcement.
Yeah.
To make on this week's show. So the Super J Cast, which is a New Japan Pro Wrestling focused podcast, reported the announcement could involve an AEW New Japan Super Show, which would happen, I believe, June 13th in Chicago on a Thursday.
Wow,
I believe that's June Thursday.
It's like right around
June 23rd. Sorry, June 23rd in Chicago. So Dave Meltzer inquired about that rumor and has a bit of an update. had it on Sunday night's Main Events podcast this week. He had to say, quote, I heard the rumors of the New Japan to AEW show, and the only thing I could say is I asked, and it wasn't denied. It wasn't confirmed. I'm not going to confirm it to me, the surprise. So to me, that leaves that one on the table as potential surprise, because if they're not doing the show, I believe I would have been told we're not doing that show. So I think there's smoke to that fire.
That's cool, man. Yeah, this seemed like this probably would have happened before now if it wasn't for pandemic.
Yeah.
And
the only thing I find interesting, sorry to interrupt, the only thing I find interesting is that June 23rd, that's Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
You think potentially. And granted, this all depends how it fits into New Japan schedule too.
Mm-hmm.
That like maybe they do it on a weekend to make it a pay-per-view type deal.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's weird. Maybe they just think, hey, this thing's such a draw. All those AEW New Japan sweaties will come out regardless. Oof, man, right in the middle of Smash Zone. I don't like that. Gonna have to do a double duty there, man. Because we can't skip Press Your Luck. We can't skip Press Your Luck.
It'd be like a three screen experience.
I know.
You'll have us. You'll have Press Your Luck, and you'll have a potential Super Show.
I know. Wow.
I was excited. There's a lot of. I mean, Mox and Ospreay just had a match.
Yeah.
In Chicago this weekend.
Yeah.
And then Kingston challenged, was it Ishii? At the same show, I think.
Okay.
And then Mox, after his match with Ospreay, challenged Tanahashi. So I mean, it's possible they're setting the groundwork for something. I know. New Japan Strong been doing a lot of great stuff here, and we've seen, some AEW talent, Daniel Garcia, Mox, Kingston, obviously, on those shows. But it'll be interesting to see if they have a full scale Super Show potentially.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think that could be pretty great. Lots of great talent that hasn't really crossed paths yet. Mm-hmm. And I think it'd be really interesting to see some of that, especially I think like kind of in the comedy realm. You get like Yano, Taichi maybe, and mixing it up with certain guys like Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Yeah, that could be that. There's a lot of fun possibilities there, man. Maybe for I know we've probably done this before, but it's a new landscape now, new faces. Maybe we should tomorrow for Overrun on the podcast and the bonus podcast, we should book ourselves New Japan AEW Super Show.
That sounds like a good idea.
Could be some fun stuff. Anyways, one person who most certainly will not be involved in an AEW New Japan Super Show is former AEW EVP, Superstar, and New Japan Superstar Cody Rhodes. Because, of course, obviously, Larson, he's in the WWE now.
Yeah.
On the most recent episode of Ryan Satin's Out of Character podcast, Cody talked about making the mistake of taking himself out of AEW's world title picture with the company. With AEW, rather. And these transcripts come to you from Wrestling Inc. He says this: I am just now entering the prime of my career. So to make political decisions like boxing myself out of winning a world championship, those decisions in hindsight were not the correct decisions in what I should have been doing. I'm the best wrestler in the world, Ryan. I can tell you that without sounding braggadocious because this is simply all I do. You need that good competition in your locker room, that good positive competition. And if I can't be the best wrestler in the world on television because I'm afraid I'm going to offend colleagues because I'm also their boss, that was the situation we were in, and I just played it in the middle. There was only so much of playing it in the middle I could do, and now I'm not in charge of nothing other than me and being a pro wrestler. Interesting insight. He sort of referenced that before in all the interviews he's done since coming back to WWE, that wasn't maybe the best idea because we all saw that in 2020, late 2019 when they started in 2020, the Young Bucks and Kenny and Cody all seemed a little hesitant to get in the title scene, and Cody was like,
understandable.
I'm going to be the top dog and that non-title scene guy.
That was almost like the first thing he did.
Mm-hmm,
it was like the first opportunity he had to take himself out of the title picture. He seemingly did it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I can understand their hesitancy to start the companies and put the belts on themselves.
Yeah, right.
I think they want to be viewed as not some vanity project.
Yeah, yeah.
And they seemed from the very beginning concerned about investing in their future just as much as pushing their own storylines.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then of course the second year around, that's when they started putting titles on Kenny, on the Young Bucks and such. So Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a philosophical choice from the beginning to not put the belts on themselves initially.
Yeah, and it's funny. I appreciate that Tony Khan, evidently from what we've heard, eventually just said, "Okay, I'm paying you guys. This is all elite wrestling. You're gonna have the titles because that's what people want to see." And they did it, and everybody was totally fine with it. You know.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Cody's out there like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have done what I did."
I know. There's a way around that though. If he had said, "Okay, I'm gonna turn heel," well, of course a heel will go back on the work.
It's wrestling. You write yourself out of that shit. It's easy.
You can do that.
How many times have so many wrestlers retired and they came out of retirement?
I know.
I know. Loser leaves town match for now.
Yeah, exactly. There's ways even as a face, there's ways you can get around it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess I appreciate that he was like, well, I did that and I'm going to stand by my word at the same time. There's ways around it. Anyway, speaking of people that don't really have a belt, Sammy Guevara.
Hey, before we talk about this, just really briefly, because I noticed this a little bit in chat and I wanted to get your reaction on this because you probably already know about it. The new WWE names of Casey Canzaro and Kaylee Ray. So Casey, this isn't a spoiler. I mean, this is
No. This has been released.
Apparently, PW Insider I think had this.
Yeah.
Casey Canzaro's new name is Katana Chance, which isn't a terrible name. It kind of flows. It's not alliterative.
It's pretty close though.
It's getting there, but it's not.
No, I know, but it's close.
Kaylee Ray's name? Alba Fire? One of my favorite people in the world, this girl I used to work with, Alba. She lives down there in L.A. Her and her husband, Luis, were great friends of mine. And it's such a charming name. But it doesn't really fit Kaylee Ray. No. I love the name, but it doesn't really fit her at all. Hugh Longheavy says Alba is apparently the Gaelic word for Scotland. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'll get used to it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Alba Fire. Right on. All right, let's take a break here to get a word in from our sponsor, BetterHelp. People don't always recognize the physical symptoms of stress. Headaches, teeth grinding, sleeping too much or too little, and digestive issues can all be indicators of stress.
Yeah, and having dealt with anxiety for most of my adult life, I can attest to the physical toll stress takes on one's body. I can remember countless nights lying awake just stressing out about a variety of things. But it's moments like that where you have to remind yourself that you have to take care of yourself and try to find someone to talk to. Having gone through the process, I definitely know how difficult it can be to find a therapist you're comfortable talking to. But with BetterHelp, you get customized online therapy that makes that process much more convenient by offering video, phone, and even live chat therapy sessions.
So give BetterHelp a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. Right now, BetterHelp is offering Going In Raw listeners 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp.com/raw.
And let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Coinbase. So, Steve, I'm sure there are a lot of friendos out there like me who are interested in getting into the world of cryptocurrency, but probably have no idea where to start. It all seems so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I was once there with you, friendo, but then I started using Coinbase, which makes learning to buy and sell cryptocurrency simple. Coinbase's easy-to-use platform has basically turned me from a crypto dullard into the crypto Lanny Poffo, a genius. It was a breeze to start my own portfolio, and Coinbase supports the most popular digital currencies on the market, as well as offering portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so I can keep tabs on all my crypto in one place.
Millions of people trust Coinbase with their digital assets, so whether you're looking to diversify, get started, or just find a better way to get into crypto markets, get started today with Coinbase.
For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/goingin. Sign up at coinbase.com/goingin for $10 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/goingin.
anyways, let's go back to talking about
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara. So I had the results of Battle of the Belts spoiled for me. I mean, I think AEW posted up, the graphic 3 times.
Same, yeah, right.
And it's just deflating because, like, Scorpio Sky had this long undefeated streak that basically didn't happen on television.
Mm-hmm.
He wins the belt in his 3rd try, and then his 2nd defense, I believe, so he beat Wardlow.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there was all sorts of shenanigans with that. And then loses to Sammy Guevara, loses the title that he basically just won.
Yeah.
And it's deflating because Scorpio Sky is great.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that he has been put in the situation where he had to associate himself with Dan Lambert, because I felt like that's brought his prospects and Ethan Page's prospects down quite a bit. At least from my perspective. And I'm sure you, to extent, you agree, because we're not into this America Top Team thing.
No, I don't really. I'm not into it.
And for whatever reason, I mean, for a variety of reasons, over the last, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, Sammy Guevara is just, I don't know. It's like, just not into him right now.
Was
like, he's always been, I've never really been, but at least I can appreciate his wrestling.
Yeah.
But when he won the belt, I'm like, oh gosh, that sucks. That sucks that he won the belt. I wanted Scorpio Sky to have a decent reign. Yeah. I was pessimistic it was going to happen, but I wanted to have a good reign.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Was Cody a bit more pivotal to their creative than Tony Khan's letting on? Would Cody have let this happen? He was like Mr. TNT champion. Or was this done? Is this a weird, like, are we going to do a list like top 10 things AEW does that fans give WWE shit about? Is this one of those things where it's like, we don't want, because Cody was a 3-time.
Yeah.
And now Sammy's a 3-time.
Oh, like they're just trying to make it so Cody's not the only. Nah, I wouldn't.
I would I don't know. At this point, they just debuted the Satnam Singh in a very WWE way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just sort of throwing out some bullshit here to explain this.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
part of it is part of it. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. Well, this feels like we've always said that we appreciate Sammy Guevara's skills as a wrestler. He's a fun wrestler.
He's still a phenomenal wrestler
in the ring.
Yeah.
Don't care about his character.
Really never have. Yeah.
Never really have.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it is I like Scorpio Sky a lot. I think we have yet to see his truest potential in AEW. He's really good on the mic. He's a great worker. I liked in this match, he was showing off some of his MMA skills because he has legit MMA experience.
Yeah.
And for Scorpio Sky to get a year-long winning streak that was basically never featured on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It was all on Dark and Elevation. He finally gets this title, and to lose it in like a month. Oh, it was deflating. It was deflating.
Yeah. I was just sort of confused because I'm not huge into Lambert. I like Sky, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting if Lambert had been introduced with Sky and Page instead of like the way he had been with those endless promos, maybe I'd be a bit more open to this. Like, because I've said this before plenty of times. When Lambert was in Impact, I thought he did pretty good work as a manager.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a bit more where he's at now, as opposed to the first big chunk of like months. But I think
we all still kind of have that taste in our mouth.
Yeah. This seems
him droning on for 20 minutes. Yeah.
The real reason why seems kind of obvious. Sammy and Ty are heat magnets now. Now, whether it's the quote unquote right kind of heat, I don't know. I don't know about all that stuff. I don't really care about him and Ty Conti. Maybe they can be effective heels, but I feel like Tony Khan might think to himself, they're a couple that draws buzz because of their real life relationship, and we needed to do this heel turn on the heel Scorpio Sky. It's funny because commentary might not have been clued in because they justified it.
Was trying to do anything he could to justify the low blow.
Same thing that Scorpio Sky was doing to him, which is kind of accurate because Paige and Van Zant were getting involved and Lambert. But I do kind of feel like Tony Khan realized, the TNT title has traditionally been the title. He can just do whatever he wants on a whim, and it's not a big deal. And Cody tried to make some, God bless his soul, Cody did try to make something out of that TNT title. He did. He was like, well, shit, I can't have the world title. Let me try to make this into like on par with it. And Miro, Brody, Darby.
They've all
great names.
I feel like have done great work to elevate the TNT title.
Yeah. And then,
I think apart from Sammy's ladder match with Cody, I just don't get the same vibe from Sammy.
I'm really curious to know when Sammy had that second run, and then Cody randomly just sort of stepped up and said, "Hey, I'll see you next week," and then he just took the title off him. I'm really curious to know, like, what was that? Like backstage, what was that? What was the deal there? Because there was some deal there. This seems kind of obvious in that Sammy and Ty, I will almost guarantee you the search analytics behind their names versus Scorpio Sky, Lambert, Paige they're probably off the charts. It's like NFL, XFL. You know what I mean? And maybe Tony Khan, being an analytics guy, is like, they're a hot thing. Let me turn them heel because it seems like that's an obvious thing anyways. And let's do this with the title, and it'll be a clean slate with the TNT title, which is the title I can do that shit with anyways.
Yeah, totally.
And it'll draw buzz. In the meantime, you got a terrific talent like Scorpio Sky, who's looking like a chump now because he had the title for like a half a second, didn't really defend it, and then now it's gone back to Sammy, who's now a 3-time, and he's kind of insufferable as a character. We'll see. I'm not going to say we'll see how it plays out. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth too. But, I wasn't shocked. I was just because this would have been the lowest confidence points for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, same. Yeah, me too. And I don't necessarily think I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to happen, but the possibility existed that it would. I didn't discount that.
Yeah.
So I was happy with the outcome.
Yeah. No, I know. I was like, really? But it's with thinking about it, it makes some amount of sense because with Cody's not involved. Because I don't know, maybe Cody was sort of booking the TNT title for a spell when it was on Brody and Miro and all of them. I don't know. Because I love that bit with when Darby lost it and he looks over at Sting. It really, the title meant something when he had it. And he looked at Sting and Sting was like, you win some and you lose some. And knowing that Darby was about to lose, I thought that was a great moment.
There was great, but there was a story leading up to that moment where Darby was
working himself too hard.
He was working himself too hard, and Miro's reign had a story too. Everybody's reign has kind of had a story except for Sammy's.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of maybe one of the reasons why his reigns have felt a bit hollow.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
because everybody else's reign, there was a story about them being TNT champion, holding on to that belt and wanting to hold on to it. I haven't got that from any of Sammy's.
Sammy's, yeah.
Maybe now that they simply are going to turn him heel, they can find that story.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if they're a heel act that works, or a heel act that just you're like, if you're not wrestling, honestly, like if Sammy's not wrestling, I have zero interest in him. Like the whole cue card through the picture-in-picture thing, I never read that shit. And I don't care a lick about his character. When he's in the ring, look, man, if they're like, hey, Sammy Guevara's up next against, I don't know, whoever, I'm always tuned in because bottom line is dude gets it done in the ring. And I can't take that away from him. But if I have to suffer through a bunch of his promos and shit, I'm just going to be sort of tuned out about that stuff.
Yep, exactly. Otherwise, Battle of the Belts, all the matches were really good.
Yeah, they were good matches.
It's a fun show. A breezy 1-hour show. I guess we can just jump right into it. Opened up with Sammy Guevara taking on Scorpio Sky for TNT. Sorry, I said it wrong. Sammy Guevara. TNT title. Just at the very beginning. Dueling, let's go Sammy. Sammy sucks chance.
Yeah.
He dealt with that throughout. Fun enough match. There's some stretches where they're kind of almost trying to out-heel each other that led up to the finish. Like I said earlier, Scorpio Sky really showing off some of his MMA background. A lot of good looking ground to pound, hitting a lot of strikes. Down the end though, Lambert gets on the apron to distract the ref. So Sammy's looking for a roll up. So Sky's holding on to the ropes. So Ty smacks Scorpio Sky's hands. So he lets go of the ropes. Sammy rolls him up, gets a 2. And then Ethan Page and Dan Lambert are calling for Paige Van Zant to come down to ringside. She does. Her and Ty brawl. So Scorpio Sky pokes Sammy in the eye. And then the ref is like finally notices that Ty Conti and Paige Van Zant are brawling ringside. So he looks over there at that. Meanwhile, Sammy hits Scorpio Sky with a low blow, hits the GTH to get the win.
Yep. Sammy Guevara, new TNT champion for a third time. After that, we had Jonathan Gresham, Dalton Castle video package. Dalton Castle, I really hope, it seems like, given what we saw in this match, they might keep Dalton Castle around in Ring of Honor.
His promo bit was outstanding.
He said, what did he say about, I'm going to be Sully Sullenberg? I'm going to land this bitch in the river.
Yeah, it was great.
That was the most unexpected reference. And he delivers it with such enthusiasm and charisma. Dalton Castle is, as a character, he is something else, man.
Oh, you got that right.
He
you
is
got that
something else, and he still has one of the best entrances. That cape, it's so.
It's so
I love
good.
when he gets in. He just lets the cape drape over the ropes. He doesn't try to bring it in with him. He's such a character. He's terrific.
He really is. He really is. That match was next for the Ring of Honor Championship. Again, another really fun match. Finish this one saw Gresham reverse Bangarang, which is Dalton Castle's finish, into a roll up, and they trade a bunch of roll ups. Eventually, though, Castle drops Gresham with the boot. Gresham responds with the Enziguri. Castle hits the clothesline, and then Gresham stomps Castle's foot, locks on the octopus, and Dalton Castle has to tap.
Yeah.
And then Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh come to the ring. Singh takes out the boys, catches Dalton Castle mid-suicide dive, and chucks him into the ring steps. He gets to the ring, and Jay Lethal comes up from behind Gresham, taps him on the shoulder, bang, lethal injection, and then Singh to start slamming his head into the ground a bunch. Lee Moriarty comes out, trying to make the save. He gets laid out. Matt Sydal comes out, hits Singh with his crutch. Singh just snaps it. Lethal and Sanjay Dutt start booting Sydal. Singh's about to powerbomb. Samoa Joe comes out with a lead pipe. And at first, Jay Lethal and Sanjay are holding back Singh. Eventually, they flee as Joe makes his way to the ring. And then he and Gresham hold up their titles.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah, the stuff with Singh was pretty smooth. Everybody sold him.
Yeah,
really, really, especially the boys with that double choke slam. It looked pretty smooth. They made him look really, really good.
Yeah.
After that, we had a Nyla Rose Thunder Rosa video package, followed by that match. I thought this was a decent enough match. Pretty physical. Of course, Thunder Rosa ended up getting the win here with basically a Hurricane Rana pin for the win, and then she goes out and celebrates in the crowd.
While we're on the topic AEW, I suppose we can talk Rampage now too.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, it was on a couple hours earlier due to NBA playoff basketball, featuring the Texas Deathmatch main event for the AEW Championship. Adam Cole, Hangman Page. All in all, again, another night of pretty good wrestling.
Yeah. That death match was something else. A little bit of controversy there at the end that I've noticed on social media. On Good Friday, Hangman Page and the barbed wire, halo,
crown,
I guess, crown. Yeah. It's sort of looking a little bit like maybe a crown of thorns.
Yeah.
Adam Page's, the long hair and the beard, and then finishing him off with that. I'm not going to tell anybody what to get offended by or not, but I was kind of surprised. Like when I saw that, I think Sean Ross Sapp was the first person when that tweeted out, the parallels perhaps there with certain imagery. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, people are going to pitch a fit over this one. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting to go there, but whatever. It didn't bother me all that much.
Yeah. Same. But
I didn't even notice it, to be honest with you.
Oh, when it happened, I noticed. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess.
Did you see the parallels there?
I forgot it was Good Friday. I'm not a religious guy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I forgot it was Good Friday, but wrap in barbed wire crown and put on someone's head. I understood the imagery.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But again, like you, I'm not gonna sit here and tell people what they can get upset or can't get upset about.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like I said, not a religious dude. So
I'm curious more about the sort of creative idea behind that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's probably something people are going to drop and not give a shit about.
Oh, I mean, like if from a storytelling perspective, if that was a reference, I'm sure a reference they made very specifically.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And how that pertained to the story they were trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. Well, what story would that be, though?
I don't know. I mean, I guess Adam Cole was, maybe he thought he was the savior of AEW or something. I don't know.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, maybe.
And Paige is like, you're not.
You're not here.
Deadeye through the table. You lose, sir.
You lose, sir. Anyways, another loss for the Gun Club. Not many losses on the Gun as a trio. I think
as a trio.
This was their first one.
I believe so.
You're going up against the Blackpool Combat Club. You're probably going to take an L these days, especially if you're the Gun Club.
Yes.
And that's what happened here with Yuta Wheeler here, or Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, they're really giving Wheeler this massive push, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see.
Absolutely, he rolls up Billy Gunn, which was honestly in the moment. It's like this guy who weighs about the same amount as like one of Billy Gunn's legs, is able to roll up Billy Gunn. I'm like, this dude could kick out of this with ease. But
you got to suspend your disbelief, Steve.
You got to suspend the disbelief with wrestling, exactly, because Billy Gunn's a huge guy.
He is. He's massive. After that, we had the Butcher versus, I didn't know what this guy's name was. He had 50 caliber on his trunk, so that's what I'm going to refer to him as. Anyways, he loses. He tries to hit a missile drop kick on the Butcher right at the bell. He just bounces right off. Butcher destroys him for about 30 seconds. Bang, powerbomb, win for the Butcher.
Cool.
Only for him to lose to Wardlow on Dynamite.
What would if 50 caliber showed up in WWE and they're like, "Hey, what's your name, kid? 50 caliber. All right, we're gonna rename you." What would they rename him?
Calbert.
Cal Burton.
There you go, Cal Burton.
Yeah, I like that.
Then we got a Dustin Rhodes promo. He challenges CM Punk to a match.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
That'll be
Dynamite,
great.
I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that should be a fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Dustin can still. It's nuts.
He's been doing this for like almost 40 years.
It's nuts how good that guy can still go.
I know,
man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's about to go to sleep, though, man. He's about to go to sleep. Yeah.
Then we got Ruby Soho versus Robin Renegade in a Owen Hart tournament qualifier. The Twin Magic is one of those wrestling tropes that, when done right, can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right.
And I thought they did this right. So Robin Renegade has a sister, Charlotte, who wrestles. Mm-hmm. And so at one point, so Ruby's going on a run. So she's Ruby's looking for like a German suplex, but Robin's holding on to the ropes in the corner. So the ref has to, pull Ruby off of her. And while the ref is distracted with that, Robin rolls out of the ring and switches place with her sister, who gets in the ring and is laying there. So Ruby goes up top looking for a senton. Charlotte gets her knees up and then puts Ruby on her shoulders. Ruby escapes that, hits a riot kick. And then Charlotte rolls out of the ring and back under it. Robin gets back in. And then like 25, 30 seconds, Ruby hits her with her finish to get the win.
Yeah, the pretty futile attempt there at Twin Magic.
It was. You have the Twin Magic trope, and then you subvert it by having Twin Magic not work.
Yeah, exactly. And then even afterwards, when her hand was being raised, she looks and she sees both the sisters, subterfuge over, and they're walking up the ramp. She looks at them. She's like, whatever. Send another one down if you want to. I'll beat her too.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun match.
Yeah. Then we had Adam Cole versus Hangman Page. And yeah, dude, these I love that they're just putting Hangman through the ringer and he's learning, wins and learns in this case.
Yeah,
he's learning from all of his wins, so he's ready for this Texas Deathmatch here.
So there's always, like in their match at Revolution, he tied up Cole to the ropes and was hitting the super kick. So he's in a position where he does this again. He ties up Adam Cole to the top rope with his belt. And he brings a chair in, a chair with barbed wire on it into the ring. And he's trying to bring himself to go to that level of violence to absolutely secure the match for himself. He can't bring himself to do it. Whoops. He can't bring himself to do it.
Did glass just break?
I dropped my da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it sounded like that was weird. Okay.
So he unties Cole, and then Cole hits him with a low blow. So he thinks it's like this constant push and pull within Page, where it's like, how far do I have to go, and how far am I willing to go to keep this belt that I worked so hard for?
Yeah.
And this thing and this match with this stipulation, he says, I can't do it, and then immediately pays for it because Cole, bang, low blow, super kick. But then basically everything Adam Cole threw at Page during this, like Page had an answer for everything.
Yeah.
Even this little run.
Yeah.
A couple super kicks. Cole just runs right into a clothesline. And so Page gets a piece of barbed wire from the chair. Cole hits him with the super kicks looking for a Panama Sunrise. Instead, Page decks him with a fist wrapped in barbed wire. Then he wraps the barbed wire around Cole's head, dead eye, off the apron, through a table ringside. Cole can't answer the 10 count. Page wins.
Yep. Yeah. No, solid stuff right there. Page was he was bleeding quite a bit here. Let's talk about SmackDown.
All right.
So, you happy? Do you think Friday it was must-see, urgent viewing that we had to cover right after the show went off the air?
The show opened literally with 13 minutes of RK Bro and Usos deciding to have a match. It took him 13 minutes.
Yeah, Orton's promo was really good though, because he wanted to say fuck at one point, and he said freak instead, and it seemed so unnatural. But this was good. I liked Orton here.
I can appreciate Orton's work, but realize that it still went too long.
There was like 2 minutes out of 13.
Well, like the Usos were like, "Oh,
solid.
You want to answer a challenge?"
Was it really? Did you time this? Was really 13
when
minutes?
The show started to when there was an opening package that was like 3 or 4 minutes. So this was 9 minutes.
Okay.
From when the show started to when this segment ended, it took 13 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was about 2 or 3 minutes in the middle where the Usos like, "Hey, let us remind you, RK Bro, who we are."
Yeah.
And so they had to list off their bona fides.
Yeah, the meat of the promo I thought was decent, but I feel you. It's one of those things where WWE just there's a lot of filler. There's just a lot of filler. It's funny, like you'd think that a 2-hour show broken down without commercials would be like an hour and 40 minutes, right?
It was about an hour and a half, because it's 45 minutes per hour of TV of actual content.
Okay. It was an hour 26 on Hulu, whatever that means, because I watched it on that. So yeah, a little bit extra commercial padding there apparently. But yeah, no, I don't know. In general, yeah, I don't know. It's not like anything really happened. I mean, Drew Gulak might be an interviewer, but that might be over with now. I think they might have done this just this week with him. Just
a one-time thing, I know.
Just to do that thing. Another thing, why waste our time with redundancy? Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. Sammy did the exact same thing, and it led to a Lumberjack next week. Why couldn't they have just booked the Lumberjack match for this week so we didn't have the exact same thing? Why wouldn't they know, hey, he's just going to run away again?
I know.
Rich, the highlight of this SmackDown was Butch.
Butch sliding over the table to take out Xavier Woods.
Flying in every once in a while, they'll capture these moments, and they're perfect for GIFs, right? Because this I saw in GIF form before I saw the actual episode.
Same.
And it's one of those where you just have to watch it over and over again to see how this guy flies in and slides in as smoothly as he does and doesn't kill everybody involved. So, Butch, the wild card, going around wrecking people, the New Day in this case, I thought was pretty damn entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Dunne will probably find a way to get this gimmick over. He probably will.
Yeah, he's really
because that good. He's that good.
Yeah.
Before we get to the SmackDown recap, we could talk about this that RI Wrestling Fan brings up in chat here. LA Knight. I bring it up because I believe his promo was actually released by WWE.
Yeah.
So he had a promo before SmackDown. Mace has a repackage now.
Yeah.
And the idea is LA Knight has saved up all this money.
Yeah.
And has started his own modeling agency.
Yeah, Mace is a model, and LA Knight is a model agency guy.
Yeah, an agent. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, again, LA Knight will get it over, probably.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. It's very WWE. It's very sports entertainment.
It really is.
But there could be some fun. Look, there could be some really fun stuff here. LA Knight's great. His thing is talking though. He's not gonna be a 5-star guy, and I don't need him to be.
No,
that.
but I'll say this: most of his matches in NXT were entertaining.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
mind
entertaining
him as a wrestler at all. No,
but here's the thing: and I know part of this is playing devil's advocate because he's a wrestler, and I don't know, man. If I'm a wrestler, I don't know if I'm a wrestler who's like, hey, I want to wrestle every week because I like when my body aches like that. Or if I'm a guy who's like, hey, I'm in WWE, they're gonna have me go out there and talk. And make best use of my abilities, and I'm going to do this new character where I'm running a modeling agency. I don't know. Maybe he's totally into that. If it's entertaining, I'll be into it. And I could see them being, especially Mace, being maybe a little tongue-in-cheek with the idea of he's a model now who's a wrestler also.
Well, when he came out during his entrance, he looked a little uncomfortable.
But come on, he was doing like the Vogue shit too.
Oh, I know, but I shouldn't say uncomfortable. He looked self-conscious about it.
But he could. I think he might end up having some fun with it. It's better than the shit they had him doing with T-Bar.
I mean, he wasn't on TV before,
with all the animal metaphors and stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
I don't know. A bit of that is totally playing devil's advocate. It's WWE, so you sort of half expect this stuff. LA Knight's really good as a manager. It'll be to see LA Knight's take on I'm going to be a modeling agency guy could be pretty damn funny. What's interesting is just how over he was just doing his thing in NXT.
Exactly.
And it would have been interesting to see just how far he could have gotten himself over on main roster.
Totally.
As his, wrestler guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But if they have some fun with it, it'll be entertaining. Just like, the bum ass Corbin stuff. Yeah, I'd probably rather just see him be like, what he was in NXT. But as bum ass Corbin, he was pretty damn funny.
He was. I mean, it wasn't like what he was doing. Corbin was doing in NXT had a degree of depth to it. He was just the guy that beat people up.
I know. Yeah. Right.
Apart from that, there wasn't much to it.
There really wasn't.
Character perspective.
Yeah, but he looked cool and he had a cool theme song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of I'm down to wait and see how that one plays.
Yeah,
out.
we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So the show opened with the RK Bro coming to the ring. They call out the Usos to answer their challenge. Usos come out and say, "We want an answer, but first, let us remind you who we are." They let him finish. Randy says, "Oh, this is my show too. Do you forget who I am? I'm Randall Keith Orton."
Yeah.
Lists off his own bona fides. He says, "I respect your family, but the Usos can," and then it was all censored. It was all.
He called them assholes. I saw the uncensored version of this.
Thank you.
And yeah, he says, "Oh, I love being in a locker room with your family. You two, you're a couple of assholes.
There we go.
Yipping too much. Romans let the bitches off the leash."
Yes.
And he says, "Yeah." He says, maybe you guys forgot who I am, who we are. I'm Randy Orton. This is Riddle. And by the way, as far as your challenge goes, yes, we accept.
Yep. And so the Usos are like, they hold belts up. The Usos are like, cool, we'll leave. But then as RK Bro is posing on the turnbuckles, Usos come back in and attack Riddle.
Yeah.
Leave him laying.
Yeah, I liked Orton's bit. He just, you know what, man, when he's having fun, it's a sight.
Yeah.
It's a sight to see, especially at the end of the main event. That fool was in the ring celebrating during the pin. I was dead laughing at that. I thought that was awesome.
I mean, he's Randall Keith Orton. You gonna tell him no?
He can do what he wants. Exactly.
So then we get Naomi and Sasha backstage. They're chatting about the men wanting to unify the tag titles. Sasha says they should follow our lead because we run both shows. And she's about to give Naomi some advice for a match against Rhea. And then Rhea and Liv step in. And then Liv's like, "Oh, I really want to hear what this advice is." And Sasha says, "All right, this is what it is. So long as Naomi is Naomi, then she'll be fine." Mm-hmm. And Naomi says, "The glow always outshines the night."
Ooh, because Rhea and Liv are dressed like Batman people, I guess. Anyways, so after that, they are. I mean, that's sort of the reference there, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like they're dressed like they go out in the night or something. I don't know. Anyways, RK Bro is backstage with Adam Pearce. They said, "We want that unification match now." And Pearce was like, "Listen, the higher ups, that's just Vince, are still deliberating whether to have the match at all. I hope to know tonight." And Riddle says, "Listen, I want to unify the titles, but really, I want Jimmy Uso. And Pierce is like, hey, you know what, Riddle? I can do that. Tonight, main event, you versus Jimmy Uso. And so that match was made. We had, after that, Naomi versus Rhea Ripley. Rhea looked pretty terrific here, man. She looked for a super riptide, but Naomi was able to kick out of that or get out of that situation. Rhea gets to with a missile dropkick. In the end, though, Rhea's able to hit that riptide, but Naomi just kept on trying to elbow out of it, and Rhea's just sort of muscling her way into the riptide and ended up hitting it and getting the win over Naomi. So it'll be interesting to see, because that tag match is happening at
on
Backlash.
Raw, tonight.
Oh no, it's happening on Raw tonight.
Yeah.
You think the split's going to happen with Rhea and Liv?
That's
probably going to happen tonight, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you think so.
Liv's kind of dead weight. Like Rhea Ripley should be, hey, this partnership's not working out already. It's really only been not that long, but I'm a lot better than you, so.
Yeah.
Kick rocks.
Yeah, it'll probably happen. It'll probably happen after Liv eats the pin.
Yeah.
Then we got an Usos interview, or so we thought. Nope. They walk right past Kayla and right into Roman's locker room.
Yeah, man. They got to go see the tribal chief, but he was nowhere to
Not
be
there.
found. Yeah,
I don't think he was actually there.
The specter of the tribal chief.
Sign.
Oh, he totally wasn't there.
Totally wasn't there.
They
Sign was there.
They should have opened up the door and you see like a chair facing the other way, and then just get like a dummy with like Roman Reigns hair.
Exactly.
Some generic sound bits, sound clips from Roman Reigns.
Exactly. You have a soundboard, a Roman soundboard. Someone's just pressing the buttons on it.
He's like, hey, cousin, what's going on? Acknowledge me. And you can hear crowd noise behind him.
I know. Then we got a Happy Corbin interview. He says, Moss wasn't my friend. He was a lackey. Kept him around because he's funny to laugh at. Became an anchor around my neck. He says, I'd still be undefeated if it weren't for Madcap Moss. He says, right now I've reached peak level of happy. And while Moss is trying to make a name for himself, I can't wait till he falls flat in his face, becomes the laughing stock of SmackDown. Then we have a bit of a response from Madcap Moss. He's been interviewed by Drew Gulak.
Yeah, he's and Pat McAfee. Even Pat. We were texting each other. I was like, man, even Pat seems kind of bored tonight. But whenever they did Drew Gulak stuff,
lit up.
Who I think helped train Pat McAfee for some of his wrestling stuff, he lit up. It was great.
It was fantastic. It was great to see. So Madcap Moss says he feels sorry for Corbin. Says, imagine how bad your personality must be when people like you better as a bump. Says Corbin, yes, he did bring me to SmackDown. He bought me some pretty nice suspenders and taught me how to tell jokes. However, because he taught him how to tell jokes, that's why the jokes were terrible. And I had an audience of one I had to please, that being Corbin. He pretty much said Corbin's not very smart. He says, but now I'm glad I can move on. Humberto Carrillo, his opponent tonight, it's tough. But I either think, but if you think I'm going to be the one that's going to be the laughing stock, then they can take their kiss cam and stick it, and he turns around and shows his rear end to the camera and points at it. And then you hear, joke, 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 and then the kiss cam overlay on it.
And then we had that match, Madcap Moss versus Humberto Carrillo. Madcap is a lot of fun to watch in the ring, man.
He's very explosive.
He is. Yeah, that's a great word for it. He is very explosive. Hits the punchline on Carrillo for the win. Afterwards, Angel gets in the ring, tells Carrillo he lost to a joke. So, like, I feel like Los Lotharios really
breaking up already.
They never did anything with it. That was like a perfect team, man. That was like, honestly, they were, for like the 1 second they did something with them, they were pretty cool.
Yeah, there's potential there, maybe.
Yeah.
Looks like it's not going to happen, though. So then Charlotte walks into Adam Pearce's office, and she said, who gave Ronda her match? Did you do it? And then Drew comes in and is like, oh, Adam, did you see my first interview? How did I do? And then Charlotte says, well, you think you can just barge in here when I'm having my meeting? How about this? We'll give you a real evaluation after you interview me, a real star in the ring.
Yeah, so then we get that Drew Gulak interviewing Charlotte. He says, he asked Charlotte, you're ready for a hard-hitting interview? She says, look, dude, just hold the mic, okay? And he says, are you concerned about Ronda's submission game? Charlotte says, you know what? I didn't refuse the I Quit match. I was trying to protect Ronda, but by telling her to get to the end of the line, because we all know how fragile Ronda's ego is. But she had to cry to management to get the match she wanted. So, but you can imagine the humiliation she's going to feel after an I Quit match. And then Drew, bad move, says, it looked like Ronda did actually make you tap out at WrestleMania. This was kind of humorous. Charlotte says, that's ridiculous. I was fixing my bra. And Drew said, if the ref had seen you tap, Ronda would be champ now. And Charlotte says, hey, you're out of line, man. I'm the champ. I didn't tap. And she says, let me ask you a question. Did you quit being a wrestler so you could stand there and ask me stupid questions? So people like you are used to quitting, just like all the fans are used to quitting. Not me. I'm not a quitter. Quitting's not in my DNA, but winning is. She said, I'm a submission master. She says, you know what? You don't deserve to interview me. She says, get on my ring now. Drew, dejected, puts his head down, turns away, does the Charlie Brown walk, starts to leave the ring. Charlotte, not enough for her. Chop blocks him, locks on the figure eight. Drew starts tapping. Charlotte starts slapping him, says, quit. And he starts saying, I quit. Starts, and then the people come in and break it up. Poor Drew Gulak.
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to do his best job as interviewer.
I know. I thought he was doing a great job as interviewer.
Yeah, man. After that, we had a Walter video package. It was the framing device was just him. Hey, Inside the Ropes just rated us. What's up?
Thank you so much.
What's up, Inside the Ropes? Thank you very much for the rate. So Gunther is there with what's his face? Ludwig von what's his name? Ludwig von
Kaiser.
Ludwig
Kaiser. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no von there. Yeah. And he's talking about what is it? The elegance of destruction, violence, or something like that. And then I'll take on a close up of Gunther, and he says, "You will obey the ring, NRL."
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for him and Drew McIntyre, man, because I feel like that might be one of the first things they do.
Hell out of each other.
That's going to be some good stuff.
Hell out of. I know Drew really wants that match too. So.
Oh yeah,
Speaking
that's
of
be good.
Speaking of Drew McIntyre, he's in action next against Sami Zayn. Before the match begins, Sami comes out, dropping a promo on his way to the ring. Says, my reputation has taken a bit of a hit. Now people think I ran away from my match with Drew. I wasn't running. I'm not afraid of Drew or anything or anyone. I'm a master strategist, and everything I do is part of my master plan. Then he tells Drew, I'm not going to run or hide. I'm going to beat you and regain the respect that I am owed. And the first thing he does when the bell rings, rolls out of the ring and tries to run away. So it's constantly he tries to escape. One time he's hiding behind Pat McAfee. Mm-hmm. So Pat ducks. Drew punches Sami, brings Sami back in the ring. Sami pokes him in the eye, but Drew hits it overhead belly to belly anyways. So Drew is looking for a Claymore. Sami rolls out of the ring. Drew pretty much runs out, brings him right back in, has him set up for another. This time Sami rolls out, jumps over the barricade, walks through the crowd. So Drew wins by count out. After Drew gets the win, he hops the barricade and chases Sami up into the concourse.
Yeah, we get a little bit more of that in a moment here. First, we get a Ricochet interview. What are they calling him now? Like perfection? Flawless. That's cool.
Not flawless because he's perfect. He just makes it look perfect. That's the whole point of this interview.
Yeah, that's something. That means, hey, they're gonna. I mean, he got a good win against Jinder Mahal here. But first, before that, after the Ricochet interview, we had Sami backstage trying to avoid Drew. He jumps into Pierce. Pierce like, well, fuck, man, again with the count out. He says, listen, man, you're getting a rematch against Drew McIntyre in a lumberjack match. So that match is set for next week. Mm-hmm. Then we get Ricochet versus Jinder Mahal. The Flawless. Ricochet escapes a Colossus. Jinder tries to roll him up with a big handful of tights. Ricochet is able to kick out of that. Hits a recoil. Goes up top. Shanky pulls Jinder out of the ring. Ricochet takes them both out with that splash off the top. Speaking of that, I forgot to mention that move, the shooting star press from the top to the floor that Sami did. Sami Kavori did.
Yeah.
Boy, that looked gnarly.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's scary. Yeah. But that's what he does. Yeah. That's why he's so much fun. Yeah. Anyways, Ricochet takes both these guys off with a splash off the top, puts Jinder back in the ring, and hits a shooting star press to get the win there. Flawless Ricochet victory.
Flawless.
Yeah.
Then we go backstage to a Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Pete Dunne interview. Butch. So Sheamus is asked, hey, there's some dissension between the three of you. And they show the replay of what happened last week. And Sheamus says, we've had worse fights over who gets the remote when we're watching TV. But we did have a discussion, and we agreed that Butch needs to harness his aggression and that we are not his enemy. And then Sheamus goes over and smacks Peter Dunne in the chest. And then Pete Dunne comes up and shoves him back. Loses his temper already. So Ridge holds him back. And then they start kind of jokingly saying, "Oh, who's our enemy?" And who? And then Dunn says, "New Day,
New Day."
and he storms off. So the interview continues, and Sheamus is saying stuff, and Ridge keeps on looking off camera. And he interviews Sheamus and goes, "We've lost Butch."
And Sheamus is like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Look, we lost Butch." And the camera just sort of goes a little bit wider, and I'm like, this made me laugh. Because it's like, I mean, you lost him. He just walked away. You didn't lose him. He just walked away. But it's still kind of funny because, like, you know, the way they treat Butch these days. So anyways, Butch is gone. Right afterwards, we go to the New Day, and they're signing autographs backstage. It's great because Xavier Woods has a Drew Gulak shirt on.
Yeah.
And then from out of nowhere,
it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Out of nowhere, Butch leaps over the table, takes out Woods. Sheamus and Ridge join in on the brawl, and the refs and the producers come in to break it up. But it's easily the sort of spot of the night.
Yeah,
Butch
it was
and that
fun.
hilarious.
It was fun.
I don't know, man. I like Butch. I think Butch is pretty cool. I'm good with it.
Well, I guess the real step is, can they take this and have it lead to something more?
Well, yeah. I mean, they sort of did that on SmackDown. You know, more. He launched over the table. Now he's
No,
in
I mean,
form.
eventually him forging his own path away from Sheamus and Ridge Holland and doing something on his own. That's what I mean.
Yeah, sure. In the meantime, you know, a couple laughs. I'm happy with that.
All right. So after that, we got another Lacey Evans promo. More about her backstory, talking about. So the last one, she said that her mother took her and I think her other siblings and took them. They escaped her father, and so this one was kind of about. Well, at one point, her father found them, and then due to issues with anger and addiction, eventually he was wanted for assault. They had to go on the run again. They lived on campgrounds, and she said, you know, Child Protective Services got involved, so did law enforcement, and neither saved me or my family. So I learned I had to rely on myself because no one else was going to save me. She says, unlike all the other female superstars in the locker room, I'm comfortable at rock bottom, and there's nothing they can do to phase her. After all that she's gone through, she says, I'm motivated, I'm confident, I'm a caring and careful daughter, wife, mother, U.S. Marine, and WWE superstar. And then she ended again with, that doesn't make me better than any other superstar in WWE, but they sure aren't better than me.
You know, my one qualm about this is that they kept the arena audio going, or what? Because it's just there was just like a low murmur of like restless people sort of going through this, and I'm like, you could have ditched that audio. But yeah, again, we talked about this last week. This is pretty strong stuff right here, and you know they had, it was like a PowerPoint present. They had like pictures and montage and stuff like that. It was pretty solid stuff.
Yeah.
Backstage, Natalya and Shayna are watching this. Natty says, whatever, Lacey, we've all had tough lives. She says this used to be, she says, I don't know what happened. This used to be the land of opportunity, and now it's the island of misfit toys. Is that what she said? Oh,
That's
wow.
what she said.
She said, we got Lacey, Liv, Rhea. Says they don't have respect for legends. And now there's this new girl who's taken the locker room and made it her personal sanctuary. And the camera pans out, and Raquel is sitting there. And she says, hi, how's it going? I'm Raquel Rodriguez. And she says, and Natty's like, it's a pleasure to meet you. And Natty welcomes her to SmackDown, and then her and Shayna leave.
Because while Natalia's going on prior to the camera panning out, like Shayna's going in like one of the lockers and looking at a shirt or something.
Yeah.
And then she throws that shirt at Raquel when they leave.
Yeah, was that supposed to be Raquel's shirt? That
was the impression I got.
Like if I'm just sitting there and somebody's digging through my shit, and I'm like, hey, that's my stuff. Can you get?
Yeah, I know.
Here, I'll take that if it's bugging you. It's weird, the weird WWE universe where, like, you know, it's not actually unless it's, you know, like on camera, it's not happening, you know.
Exactly. Even if someone's just off frame, they're not there until the camera pans out and then you see them.
Where's my list of weird tropes? How do we explain that one in a video?
I mean, the WWE world only exists through the camera lens.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Then we got our main event. Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. A fun match. Randy Orton was very involved in this. Like at one point, he's up on the apron arguing with the ref about something.
Yeah.
And actually allows Jimmy to hit a super kick on Riddle. So he goes up top. Orton hits a belly to back on Jay on the announce table. So Jimmy leaps off, Riddle evades whatever he's trying to do. Jimmy goes for a pop-up Samoan drop. He hit one earlier. Instead, this time Riddle counters that into an RKO to get the win.
Mackie says, get a fisheye lens and the world gets bigger. It's a much more vibrant world when you switch to a fisheye. I loved that RKO out of nowhere, and Randy just gets in the ring before the pin happens.
As soon as he hit the RKO, Randy's in there.
I was dying laughing at that. That was so great. I love that quite a bit. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer a couple of questions here. I've got a thread
on the Twitter.
This is going to be a little bit different. I'll have to remember to post up a thread for Smackdown and Rampage questions, or maybe I'll just mention it on the Twitter thread. I don't know. We're doing things a little bit different. So
We're still working out these changes here.
So
Russell Dude asks, when you were a kid doing an Easter egg hunt, what was the most disappointing thing you found in an egg? Least favorite candy or gift? I think the most disappointing thing I found the egg was an egg yolk. Because my parents, we used to actually, hard boil eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And paint them and stuff. And then part of the Easter egg hunt, we do real eggs. And even as a kid, egg yolks would sometimes bother me. And so I'd crack them an egg, real egg. There's a yolk in the inside.
I would say for me, nothing. When they just leave eggs with, just air inside. Empty.
Yeah.
Empty is most disappointing. Yeah. Let's see here. Jason Lewis says, you have each convinced Danhausen to curse the other. How does this curse manifest? See, here's the problem.
I got it.
Go ahead.
The curse is that whenever we played basketball, you'd have to shoot left-handed.
Oh, yeah. The curse for me would be every time we play basketball, you'd poop your pants, which would be kind of gross, but also really funny. Because we usually talk about it on the shows, and so it'd be like, hey, man, how'd you get something in chat? How'd your basketball go today? Larson pooped his pants.
I soiled myself.
Let's see here. I don't get this question. Nikyle, if you were told to... I understand this one. If you were told to repackage a wrestler in WWE to have a graphic designer gimmick,
interesting.
Who would fit the role well, and what would their finisher name be? So I wouldn't actually wish this on anybody, but Bianca Belair makes her own gear.
That's true.
So there'd be an element of truth to it.
Design there, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. What would she'd change her finisher name from the KOD.
From the KOD
which doesn't that stand for Kiss of Death?
Yeah.
It'd be the Photoshop crash of death.
Okay.
Because sometimes Photoshop will just crash.
It does crash. You lose everything.
Yeah, you lose everything.
And it's really discouraging.
Yeah, it is.
B-Man, what wrestler from WWE and AEW would thrive in a Matt Cardona-esque GCW run, and who would feel very out of place? I mean, if you were looking at someone who could really lean into the sports entertainment aspect of things outside of the WWE world like Cardona does.
Miz.
Yeah, Miz. That's the right answer.
Miz. Totally be
That's
Miz.
the right answer.
Be Miz or maybe Corbin. I could see Corbin doing that as well.
Yeah.
And then from AEW, be Jericho. Sort of his whole thing right now. Let's see here. All Good Things Pod says, what is Penta's ceiling in AEW? He's got the skill, the look, and the charisma, but they don't seem to truly push him. I wonder if some of that is because he's got obligations elsewhere.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case too.
But no, I mean, look, dude, his ceiling clearly is AEW World Champion. If they wanted to do it, it'd be legitimate as fuck because he's amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. They probably have 20 people on their roster that could believably be.
Oh, yeah.
Champ.
Yeah, they have a lot of people, yeah. Let's see here. Joel Hartman says, after whoever wins at WrestleMania Backlash between Ronda or Charlotte, who will be the next challenger for the title? How would they get let me sort of alter this question a little bit. There's a number of challengers, but first let's stop here. It's an I quit match. There's no way in hell Ronda's going to say I quit. How would you book this for a Charlotte win? I quit doesn't mean no DQ.
Oh yeah, there's no DQ.
There's no DQ in an I quit match?
Yeah, there's no DQ.
You can just wail on somebody's head with a chair?
I mean, literally, that's what The Rock did in his I quit match.
That was an I quit match, yeah.
And he had a recording of Foley saying I quit that they played over the arena audio, and that's how The Rock won the match.
Okay. So the question remains. Yeah, but not with that was the stupidest shit. The audio thing was so dumb.
Yeah.
Although I guess WWE could tread familiar ground. Just trying to think, like, how are they going to get out of this if they don't?
Maybe Charlotte could do like a really good Ronda impression.
All she has to do is talk really low. You put the microphone to
and kind of do like a ventriloquist thing.
I quit.
I quit.
That's an easy ventriloquism thing. I quit.
Yeah. I quit.
Look, my lips aren't moving. I quit.
Hi, I'm Ronda Rousey. I quit.
Hi.
My lips didn't move at all.
You said, "Hi, I'm Ronda Rousey. I quit."
Yeah, because I want to make sure there's no confusion that there's Charlotte.
Oh yeah, because she's actually the one.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah, exactly.
You shove the mic in front of her and you go,
"Hi, I'm Ronda Rousey.
Hi, I'm Ronda Rousey. I quit." Hi. So who do you think is going to be the next challenger for whoever
Ronda
wins that
Rousey
title?
Probably Charlotte again.
After all is said and done, who else is on Smack? I mean, the two most likely opponents are tag team champions.
Champs.
Right
I know.
Yeah, maybe Lacey Evans. I can see Lacey versus Charlotte. That makes sense. I don't know about Ronda if she wins. Hi, Ronda Rousey. I quit.
Come Tuesday, if you're going to sponsor a wrestler, so they have to have the Going in Raw logo on them when they went to the ring, like how Brock Lesnar had the Jimmy John's logo. Which wrestler would you sponsor, and how would you make them display the logo?
Which wrestler would we sponsor? If we had our pick of any wrestler, I mean, I feel like Von Wagner is up for consideration.
I was going to suggest Gallus.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe a good sponsorship would be enough to keep them together.
You know, honestly, we should send those three dudes out some of the Volt shirts because it's thematically their colors.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh. Let's see here. Luis Ascending says, who's had the best name change and who's had the worst? To me, the worst is still Dewdrop. That name is just, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. That to me is worst. What's your worst?
I mean, I guess it depends how far back we want to go.
All the far back.
We're just talking about, all the far back?
In history.
Oh, wow. Well, that's going a ways back.
I still say even in history is Dewdrop. Well, maybe Max Moon.
Yeah, Max Moon's pretty lousy.
Max Moon is pretty up there. It's pretty far up there.
The Ringmaster.
You know, that's not in the pantheon. Like, yeah, because he's Stone Cold, which is way better. But like Ringmaster's not terrible. They just should have given him a circus gimmick. That was the problem with that. They didn't go all in on the gimmick.
Needed the red.
All right, step right up. Who wants to see some tigers fuck with the guy?
Who wants to see some motorcycles go around inside a globe?
Oh, we're going to take this net away. Hopefully these people up here don't go splat. Who wants to see that?
Oh, man. Best name change, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
You
see that concept art that was going around Twitter, I think, this morning? I don't know if it was legit or not, but I saw someone posted like some Stone Cold concept art, and it was like a shiny satin jacket, black, with ice blue trim, as they put it, and like in script stitching on the back, it just said Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I gotta see that.
It was so 80s wrestling. You got a guy like you hear the origins of the idea of the character was like, oh, I want to be like a hitman.
What is
when you
this?
think of that, you think satin jacket, don't you?
Oh, you know what this? It just looks like his like Hollywood Blonde type stuff.
Yeah, it's the Stunning Steve Austin stuff.
Yeah, it's Stunning Steve Austin. Yeah, that's terrible. It says okayed by Vince.
And he's got the boots with the stars on them and stuff. I'm like,
yeah. I wonder if this is real or not.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's one of those things that's floating around on the internet. You never know.
Anyways, all right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll go ahead and raid somebody. We'll be back tomorrow for our Raw review, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, right here at the twitch.tv/Stephen Larson, and then it spreads out everywhere else after that.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.